It begins not in the shadows of a smoky back room, but in the quiet, unmarked offices of banks you probably walk past without a second thought. Behind glass doors and polite smiles, money was moving, quietly, invisibly, fueling the empire of the Mafia. For decades, we imagined mob bosses with slick hair, pinstripe suits, and bloody hands. But the truth? The real power was hidden in ledgers, offshore accounts, and whispers inside boardrooms. The Mafia's secret weapon wasn't always a gun, it was a bank. By the 1970s, the American Mafia was pulling in billions of dollars every year, cash from gambling, heroin, extortion. Too much money to simply stash in a safe. And here lies the dilemma. Dirty money is worthless unless it can be cleaned. So they built a system, a shadow economy that rivaled Wall Street itself. It worked like this. Small-time bookies and drug dealers would funnel stacks of crumpled bills into local businesses, pizza shops, car washes, bars. Those businesses, often owned by friends or relatives, would report the money as legitimate earnings. On paper, nothing looked suspicious. In reality, the Mafia was quietly transforming crime into capital. But that was just the surface. The deeper truth was global. In the 1980s, investigators discovered that mob families weren't just hiding money in American businesses. They were wiring fortunes overseas, into Swiss accounts, Caribbean shell companies, even Vatican-linked banks in Rome. The Mafia had learned to play the same game as corporations and governments. And the irony? Some of the world's most respected financial institutions helped them do it. One case still haunts financial historians: the collapse of the Banco Ambrosiano in Italy. Billions vanished in what was called the scandal of the century. Behind the headlines were whispers of Mafia money, Vatican bankers, and shadowy offshore accounts stretching across continents. It was proof that organized crime wasn't just street level, it was woven into the fabric of global finance. But here's the thing nobody tells you. This system wasn't only about greed, it was about survival. For a Mafia boss, having a secret bank was like having an oxygen tank underwater. Without it, the empire suffocates. The cars, the mansions, the bribes to politicians, all of it depended on money flowing smoothly, invisibly, like blood through veins. Some experts argue the Mafia perfected laundering before the rest of the world caught up. Today, when billion-dollar corporations dodge taxes through offshore havens, they're using blueprints written by mobsters half a century ago. And yet, behind every number was a human cost. Families torn apart by addiction, neighborhoods strangled by extortion, a generation of young men who thought quick money would save them, only to find themselves chained to debts they couldn't escape. The banking system kept the empire alive, but it also made sure the cycle of exploitation never ended. Law enforcement tried to fight back. The FBI launched massive operations, Operation Greenback in Miami, the Pizza Connection trial in New York. Wiretaps revealed how suitcases of cash were flown into Swiss banks, how Sicilian mobsters worked hand in hand with American families. Courtrooms filled with stacks of evidence, binders of financial records, stories of betrayal. But here's the haunting reality. For every mobster caught, dozens more found ways to adapt. Close one door, another would open. Money has a way of slipping through cracks, especially when entire industries profit from looking the other way. And maybe that's the uncomfortable part of this story. The Mafia's secret banking system wasn't built in isolation. It thrived because legitimate bankers, lawyers, and accountants, people in crisp suits with diplomas on their walls, chose to play along. Whether out of greed, fear, or convenience, they opened the gates. They made the underworld feel at home in the daylight. It forces us to ask, how different are these systems from the ones we still use today? Offshore havens, anonymous shell companies, billionaires who pay less tax than their own employees. The lines blur until crime and business start to look eerily similar. In the end, the Mafia's story isn't just about violence or drugs or betrayal. It's about the invisible power of money and how it shapes the world in ways most of us never see. Next time you walk past a bank or hear about billions shifting in offshore accounts, remember this. Somewhere in the shadows of those numbers are stories of survival, corruption, and blood. The Mafia's secret banking system was never just about laundering cash. It was about rewriting the rules of power. And maybe, just maybe, those rules are still being written today.